Hi, welcome back. And this time we're going to look at part two to efficiency, effectiveness, and productivity. Right, let's continue where we left off. In the last video, we spoke of how to raise productivity, meaning how to get workers and resources to do more. Right, so as a student, sometimes you need to raise your productivity too so that you can do more. So, what are the things that you normally do, right? Maybe rest more, or have a better study plan, or maybe burning the midnight oil, right? So there are various ways that you would use to so that you can do more and you can achieve more at the end of the day, but sometimes it may not work the way you want it to. Similarly, in a business, you'll find that raising productivity will not sometimes give you the results that you want. All right, high productivity is always good because there is more output to be sold at a much lower unit cost, but sometimes that's just not the case. Why? Because the product is just not popular. So even though you spend a lot of time, making the product, making lots of it, but if it's not popular, it's not going to get sold. The other thing to look at is when you are getting your workers to do more, there'll be potential request for raising their salaries, their wages, right? What's in it for me in return? And when employers do not reciprocate in it by giving them more, then this could lead in strikes, and this will delay production, and that means lesser output or a stop in a drop in output demand, a drop in output supply, and that's where you will have a higher unit cost instead of a lower unit cost. And sometimes poor quality or leadership that does not involve the workers in making decisions, such as requiring the team to actually produce three times or four times more than what they used to, but without considering the impact of those change to the workers and what they might need to be able to produce more. So that also leads to some, in most situations, not a good, they're not productive. Yeah. Although production is efficient, sometimes companies struggle with ensuring high effectiveness. An example would be having a great level of output produced, but only a small portion of it sold because of the quality, a poor workmanship that is not up to par. So you have high productivity, high level of output being sold everywhere, but being placed everywhere to be sold, but not meeting the demand. This time because of poor workmanship, and that also affects sales. All right. Now let's move on to effectiveness and efficiency. Let's talk about efficiency and effectiveness, right? So when production is efficient, it means that it is productive, right? And when production is effective, it means whatever they are producing, the products that is sold, it is meeting the needs and wants of consumers. So get the difference here, yeah? Being productive, the more productive you are, you're more efficient in using very minimal resources to produce more output. But when your products are also effective, it means that whatever you have produced due to your high efficiency or high productivity, it also meets the needs and satisfaction of your customers. They're happy when they have it in their hands, they want to buy more. Right, and there's so many ways to increase effectiveness, whether it's through the product itself, through the packaging, through the branding, through what they hear from friends who bought the particular product, right? So those are some of the differences. Yeah, so efficiency is important because it determines the average cost of production. So efficiency relates to productivity. So when the more you produce, the lower the cost. Effectiveness relates to what customer really wants and needs and how satisfied they are when they purchase the product, when they actually have what you produced in their hands. All right. So when a product is efficient but not effective, then the unit cost will rise because even though you have lots of these products being in shelves in many shopping malls, it takes longer to sell. All right, or bad reviews can cause the demand to drop. So which means this output will not sell. Right. Now, to these days, we're also talking about sustainability. It means the ability to exist and develop without depleting the natural resources for the future. So, as you know, in operations or in production, especially in the manufacturing and portion of business, there are lots of chemicals and pollution being released, right? And businesses have been tasked this today to focus on being green, to focus on building sustainable operations. Is basically ensuring that your operations can last for a longer time by you taking care of the by you taking care of the earth, right? And protecting its natural resources for the future. Okay, so businesses can look at reducing carbon emissions, energy, plastic, and other non biodegradable materials or waste. And they can look at producing more recycled materials and making products using recyclable materials. Right. So, why are businesses making operations sustainable? Because in certain countries, at least most of it, it is an environmental law to comply with the environmental law, because taking steps to become green will basically help attract the public, right? And this may increase sales. The pressure groups are getting very strong in support for sustainable methods, and these are pulling companies out of, business if pressure groups are going on persisting that businesses make a change. More consumers these days are also moving towards green products, and so they want to support companies who also produce the same. Yeah. So there are some impacts here of businesses when they practice sustainability, and there's also some limitations should they do that in increasing sustainability. Right. So the benefits are here, which you could also read, right? But the limitations are here where we want to focus on a little bit more. All right. So businesses who sometimes find that, oh, it's quite difficult for us to just change everything to green production because it might require heavier capital investment, right? Like for example, more solar panels, right? The materials cost is much higher than usual. Recycled materials might need to be cleaned and processed, and that takes money and time, right? The development of recyclable products can be expensive. Increasing sustainability might need investment in worker training and accurate equipment, which means workers also need to be trained on how to actually work a little bit differently using new equipments and how to handle products differently. Yeah, supplies from sustainable sources might be more expensive because they may not be everywhere, right? So, suppliers may be pricing high, to and making businesses increase their costs when they want to produce, and that means that products being sold is also expensive. So because of these reasons, companies may just think harder about it, longer about it, whether or not it is worth for them to actually um, you know change their methods of production to accommodate to saving the earth and the natural resources. Right. And it's a wrap. In this section, we're just going to have an example of a question and how you would answer it. The first question asks you to list and define the terms learned in this lesson. You can do this on your own. Yeah. Take a piece of paper, write down all the terms that you have heard or read or seen, and try to put in your own definition of what it means. Right. For question two, explain effectiveness in operations and why it is important. So, how do you answer this question? First thing to do is to plan your points. There's a few parts to this question where it talks about explain, effectiveness, operations, and importance, right? So, you want to talk about defining operations a little bit and then talk about how effectiveness is important in operations, and then, yeah, basically C comes into play. Okay, I'll show you an example of how to answer this question. So operations is defined as the process of transforming inputs into outputs, which is also known as the production process. We have learned this before, yeah? Effectiveness relates to the degree of how a product meets the needs and satisfaction of the customer. Effectiveness is important because if the product produced without considering the design, the use, the perception of the customer, this could lead to bad reviews and eventually more than bad reviews, basically loss of sales, right? This will eventually increase average cost of production because the products made could not be sold, right? So this is an example. Now you go on and try opening your business textbook that you use in college. take that out, read it through, pick out all the words that you can identify, close the book, and start defining away. Right, this is one way for you to practice looking at all the keywords and the terms used, because that really helps you, especially in the first paper of the A levels exam. All right, till then, have a very nice day.